Well, hello once again, all my classic dirt bike loving YouTubers, and thanks once more for returning to my channel as we continue to check out more old vintage dirt bikes from back in the day. Now in this featured clip we're going to take a look at a couple of British built classics from Cumbrian vintage racer Peter Dobinson. Now Peter has a couple of nice classics in the shape of his Cotton Triumph Twin and also his Rickman Triumph Twin Classic. So let's get down to business and check out Peter's first machine. Now Peter's first bike is this very nice Rickman framed Triumph Twin. Now Peter's first machine is his Rickman Triumph, and this is the bike that Peter likes to call his number one race bike, as he believes it's the better handling bike of the two that he owns. Now these fantastic Rickman frames of course were made famous by the legendary Rickman brothers of Don and Derek Rickman, who designed these iconic frames back in the early 1960s. But of course when you order one of these Rickman frames you can specify a frame to fit whichever type of motor you are going to fit into the frame, and in Peter's case here he's opted to go for one of these beautiful Triumph twin motors. And we'll shortly be able to have a listen to what this beautiful bike sounds like later on in this video. But Peter normally races these machines at classic racing events all over the UK, and normally enters both bikes to take part in the pre-1968 or pre-1970s class. Now during the 2019 racing season, Peter only just finished outside a podium spot in the Scottish Classic Motorcycle Racing Club's Championship in the pre-1968 over 350cc class. So that was still a fantastic result for Peter, considering that Peter never completed all the 8 rounds of the Scottish Championship. Although as an added bonus he did manage to take a 3rd place overall in the Scottish pre-1975 over 60s Championship in that same year. But nevertheless, I've seen this very nice bike perform on the track, and it's a very quick bike with Peter on board, and there is a very nice brap comes off that lovely Triumph twin motor, as we'll hear very shortly. Now these particular pictures are just 1 or 2 snaps that I captured of Peter on the bike during 2019. So that was Peter's number one race bike, his Rickman Triumph. You're now going to move on to his backup machine, this equally beautiful Cotton Triumph Twin. Now the history of the Cotton Motorcycle Company dates back to around 1918, whereby Frank Willoughby Cotton then founded the company. Now Cotton back in the day were primarily a frame building motorcycle company, but if my memory serves me correctly, I'm almost sure that HIS in the late 1990s started to produce a series of these Cotton Triumph replica machines, which also included a 250 road racer and of course this beautiful 500cc Cotton Scrambler. Now, of course, the HIS constructions were still authentic Cotton design frames, and were just a copy of the original Cotton frames from many years back. But as in Peter's case here, these Cotton Triumphs were and still are very popular machines in the classic pre-1965 scrambling events. But of course, these Cotton frames had these fiberglass fuel tanks, and once again to try and keep the overall weight of the entire motorcycle to the bare minimum. Now, these bikes back in the day had HIS Stormer wheels and hubs, and sometimes Gramica brake hubs were also fitted. And now they also had beater or Marzocchi front forks, and normally used a set of C-back shocks on the rear, which between you and me were only good enough to hold the bike up while awaiting a sale. And now, as I've mentioned in a few of my previous videos with regards to these old classic scramblers, there's certainly something about an old British classic motorcycle that modern bikes just don't have. No stupid plastics on these bikes, just good old-fashioned alloy and steel, which give the bikes a certain character and personality that a modern day motocross machine could only wish to have. But of course, you can see both of Peter's bikes in action on the track at any of the Scottish Classic Motorcycle Racing Club's events in 2020. Just log on to their website at classicscrambles.com to get all the updates for next year. And so we've had a look at both of Peter's race bikes, so let's first have a listen to the Cotton Triumph. That's young Peter Dobinson taking the throttle of the Cotton Triumph. That's Peter's intrepid spanner man during race days. Taylor does most of the spanner work on his father's bike, so let's now have a listen to the Rickman Triumph. Okay, we've managed to have a listen to both bikes, but let's have a quick look at this Rickman Triumph on the racetrack. Now, this is a Scottish Classic race event at Penrith, and Peter is third from the left there. And as you can see, that lovely Triumph is very quick off the mark and takes the whole shot into turn one. So I hope you've enjoyed this very quick look at Peter Dobinson's lovely Rickman Triumph and Cotton Triumph, and look out for more of these classic race bikes coming soon, right here on my YouTube channel. This video was brought to you in association with World Sport, the world's #1 supplier for all your off-road and leisure sportswear. Just visit their online website for more details.